The name's Bond. James Bond. Da 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 da. Hello, Bond fans. Welcome to this Hangouts with myself and my bestest YouTube buddy, Jack McCullough, Jack the Film Fanatic, where today we talk about the news surrounding Bond 25, the upcoming Bond movie, which will be the fifth and final movie to star Daniel Craig as 007. So, a fair amount to talk about with this. It's going to be quite a while till the film is released. It was announced a while ago that Danny Boyle was going to direct the movie, and he was on board for the project, and they were planning a script, but he had a lot of creative differences with the producers, and apparently, well, allegedly, it was surrounding the issue of the death of Bond. He didn't want the Bond to die at the end, but there was an idea that Craig and the producers had where they wanted Bond to die, and Boyle just basically quit. He just said, well, did they expect miracles, you know? So, yeah, he left the project, and then very quickly, they managed to find the replacement, a guy named Kari Joji Fukunaga. Never heard of him before. He's directed some films, and I think he directed a Netflix series called True Detective. So he's not as well known. So this project, if all goes well, will give him a lot of notoriety. So that was announced. And because of all of these problems, the movie's original release date had to be pushed back by 4 months, unfortunately. Originally, the film was going to be released in October 2019 for the UK, November 2019 for America, but they have now moved it to Valentine's Day on February 2020. So very early 2020, but yeah, it just means we have to wait another 4 months. And very recently, it was announced that Léa Seydoux, who portrayed Dr. Madeline Swan in the previous film Spectre, she will be returning to Bond 25. To what extent, we don't know, but she is going to return. As well as the MI6 regulars. Yay! Apart from Tanner, we have M, Q, and Moneypenny, all portrayed by Ralph Fiennes, Naomi Harris, and Ben Whishaw, who appeared in the previous 2 Bond movies with Sam Mendes, and they are gonna be here with Daniel Craig to see his era out. So that's kind of the general news for Bond 25. That's all we know so far. So, Jack, what do you think of all of this? Just to sum it all up.
Well, I think first of all, talking about Danny Boyle leaving the project, I mean, personally, I feel that I think it's kind of a great loss that he decided to leave. I mean, Danny Boyle, I think he's a great director. I mean, he directed Slumdog Millionaire, which won the Oscar for Best Picture. He also directed Train Spotting, which is great, and Train Spotting 2, the sequel, which came out last year, which I thought was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, but
And
an odd choice for a Bond movie.
yeah, and I think he also directed Shallow Grave, which actually is a young Christopher Eccleston in that. But as for Danny Boyle as director, I mean, Danny Boyle, I think would have been a great choice because he is a Bond fan. I mean, in fact, if you watch Train Spotting, there's like several references to Sean Connery's James Bond, and Danny Boyle is a James Bond fan. And actually, funnily enough, my aunt used to go out with Danny Boyle when he was over here in Northern Ireland years ago. Danny Boyle used to go out with my aunt, which is kind of interesting. But uh, yeah, but as for him leaving, I mean, I think it's kind of a shame because I think he's a great director. And he would have been, I think, a great choice for a Bond director, because he has done so many great films, and he's got so many great films behind his belt. But I mean, yeah, and as for the sort of idea put forward by Daniel Craig, that Bond could die, and that's the reason why one of the reasons why Danny Boyle decided to leave, because of creative differences. I to be honest, I kind of understand why he decided to quit the project, because I don't really think that James Bond as a character should be killed off. Daniel Craig wanted, and the Bond producers wanted, to go down a route kind of like Logan, where Bond would get killed off. But I don't really think that the character of James Bond should die, because in all the Bond movies, James Bond never dies, and it just would kind of seem out of character and out of place for him to die at the end. It would kind of, for me anyway, like if Bond died in a movie, it would kind of feel like, James Bond is kind of failed. Like if he died in a
Yeah,
movie, it would be kind of like James Bond has failed
yeah.
in a lot of ways.
In a way, it would be anticlimactic. I mean, with Logan, you kind of know it's coming, and it works for the character. And same with War for the Planet of the Apes, Caesar. You know that that's coming, and that makes more sense for the story. But for Bond, the character is a survivor. He's he's a lone wolf. He lingers on, or lusters on, as some might say. But yeah, I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, and also, the character, he's a larger than life action hero. He's this sort of like, he is this kind of. Well, Dalton said that he isn't a Superman, but he kind of was.
It's not
He
a
kind of,
man.
but he kind of was with Connery and Murr and stuff. He was this guy who,
Yeah,
who never had a
I think
scrap.
mainly Sean Connery though, because Connery was a bodybuilder. Lazenby tried to emulate that, but that was more the filmmakers themselves trying to have an essence of Sean Connery. I think with Roger Moore, I don't think he ever tried to appear as a superhero. He certainly tried to give the role a certain toughness, and and improve that he could fight. But he was much more, I'd say gentle, but he was a slightly warmer Bond than Connery. Connery was more rough, but I don't think that there was ever elements of. Okay, maybe in the sense that his injuries weren't very real, whereas Connery,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
What I mean is, like, when I say like a Superman, he kind of, like, even though Dalton said he isn't a Superman, he kind of was like in the Connery and Moore films, because if you look at him, you never really see him with any visible injuries, and you never really see him sweat in any of the Bond films. Like, he's always kind of, he's
well,
always kind
actually, there is one scene in Thunderball when he does sweat. When he's hooked up to the machine, and it's in the beginning in like the massage parlor,
oh
and
god, yeah.
it's turned right up, and he's like going back and forth, and he can't stop it, and that would cause any man to sweat.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but I just think the character of James Bond, in all the films, like you said, he's a survivor. He survives every Bond film, and I just don't think it would be appropriate if Bond were to die, if he was,
Yeah,
like, let's say if he was killed by Blofeld, or he died in an explosion, or he died just after he saved the day. I just don't think it would. I
yeah,
don't think it would work.
yeah.
I'm all for.
Especially with Daniel Craig, because Daniel Craig's Bond, he's suffered many losses, and I think it would just, it would derail the whole point, because the point is, as you say, he's a survivor, and he has to deal with the fact that he's in this life. He chose to, well, he didn't really choose it, but he's in this life of espionage. If he feels some kind of emotional attachment to somebody, they're going to get hurt. And as M says to him in Casino Royale, I would ask if you could remain emotionally detached. So, he's kind of got the, in a way, it would be really prophetic if they kind of lingered on that and kind of drew on that for the last film, and kind of in the fact that he's lost a lot of people, he's got to kind of let go of his emotions fully if he wants to spare himself any more pain, if you know what I mean. I think doing it thematically would make a lot of sense for Craig. But killing him off, that no, I don't see how that could work really, because you could kill him off in the most spectacular scenario, it would still be anticlimactic no matter which way you do it. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm sure you would agree.
No, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I just think that, I mean, it's fine for Logan because that's that character. But Bond, like, he's a survivor. In all the Bond films, no matter what happens, Bond always survives. And I just don't think it would be right if he was killed off. I mean, I can understand why Craig and the Bond producers might want to do it because, they've never killed off James Bond in a Bond film before. Like, and maybe it would be quite narratively interesting, but I just don't think it would work. I mean, the fact is Bond is, he goes in, he gets the job done, he kills the bad guy, he gets the girl,
Yeah,
and
job's done. Bitch is dead.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a Bond movie. Bond goes in, he finds his target, whether that be Blofeld or someone else. He kills the villain or dispatches the villain,
And he has a
gets
martini in the process.
yeah, gets the girl, and that's the movie. I just don't think it would work if, let's say, Craig's Bond was killed by Blofeld, or he was blown up, or he was shot at the end after he completed his mission. It just wouldn't work. I mean, with Judi Dench as M, it worked because we'd gone on this journey with her since GoldenEye, and we had this whole sort of story with her and Silva. I mean, it worked.
Yeah,
I mean, that worked killing off M just for
yeah.
that one movie because she has this emotional connection to Silva, and
And Bond actually, because
yeah,
they tried to paint her out as like a more maternal figure towards him, and that worked for Skyfall for the story. And also, it completed the 50 years of Bond, and it kind of brought everything full circle in the end when we went back to the old office. A man was M, older, and money pennies behind the desk. We got Q. Everything kind of went back to how it started. So that really worked. Killing M, in a way, was a very transitional period for the Bond movies, in my opinion.
yeah, and I also just don't think that. I just don't want them to reboot the Bond series again after this film. Like, I just don't want them to kill off Daniel Craig and then decide, okay, let's get rid of Q, let's get rid of M, let's reboot it again like Casino Royale. I think,
Yeah,
I like.
no need to.
Yeah, and yeah, they don't need to, like you said. And also, I like the setup as it is. I like the fact that they've gone back to the sort of more classic Bond, film where you have Moneypenny behind the desk, you have, a male M, and you've got the old office, and you've got Q. I like that, and I don't want them to, kill off Daniel Craig and then reboot the series and then get rid of Q and
Yeah,
Moneypenny like it's Casino Royale. I would like just them to. I would just like them to, after this Bond film, cast a new Bond and have it be like the old Bond movies, like just bring in a new actor but have the MI6 regulars stay the same. I don't
yeah,
want
I
them.
agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them to replace the MI6 regulars or decide, okay, let's do Casino Royale, let's get rid of Q, Moneypenny, and all that. I
No,
don't think it would work. We don't need to reboot it after every
yeah,
actor. Like,
no. I agree. I think the only thing they would do is maybe start a new story, but like because even though let's put this in perspective. Even though Casino Royale is a reboot, what's the one thing that stayed the same from Die Another Day? Judi Dench. See, it worked, and it didn't actually cause a problem with the story. It almost kind of you almost kind of forgot she was even in the Pierce Brosnan films when you saw Casino Royale. I mean, how could you not have Judi Dench? But the point stands. The same could apply to the MI6 regulars now. No matter what happens in Bond 25, with the new guy, we could still have those regulars, and I think they would work. And I think Ray Fiennes is a great M. I think he's got a lot of potential to be one of the best. We've
yeah,
just got to have more films with them.
yeah, I agree. Like, I don't. I think just two films or three if you count Skyfall, with him as M. It just wouldn't work. And the same with like Moneypenny and Ben Wishaw's Q. I want to see these actors in the roles for a long time to come. Like, I'd like to see them. I would like to see Ben Wishaw in the next 10 Bond movies, and same with Naomi Harris and
Yeah,
Ray Fiennes. Like I think we need the MI6 regulars to stay as they are, and I don't think that I just I'm just
yeah.
worried that if they go down this route of, let's say they do kill off Craig's Bond, that they might reboot the series, and I just don't think you need to do that again. I mean,
No,
I can understand why they did it after Casino Royale because sorry, after Die Another Day, because Die Another Day was a cheesy,
piece of
you
shit.
know, yeah, it was a cheesy campy fuckfest, and it went overboard with the gadgets
Yeah, I
and all
think it
that.
was kind of in a way a good omen. It was a message to the producers. It was like they fell so far into disarray that they Bond got so far up his own arse he didn't even know what it was anymore. Like there was a smugness about it, and Tamahori wiped his arse all over it. I mean, and you could tell that it was really bad. It was a stench, and if there was any future for the series, they would have had to have rebooted it. They could not have continued with Brosnan, because if they did, then they probably would have. The series probably would have failed. We probably wouldn't see Daniel Craig now. So I think they did Casino Royale at the right time. I mean, would you agree?
No, I mean I totally agree. I think that I can understand why they had to reboot the series, and I understand why they had to get rid of Q and Moneypenny. They had to get rid of Q because the gadgets just went overboard. Die Another Day, like with the invisible car,
Yeah.
and also Moneypenny. I just don't think it would have worked in Casino Royale with Craig flirting with Samantha Bond. Like
Oh god,
it
especially
just
after that virtual reality scene.
ugh. Oh God,
Ugh.
yeah. So the one thing I was glad though was that they did keep Judy Dench's in, because I think Judy Dench worked a lot better with Daniel Craig. I mean, she
Yeah,
wasn't bad with Pierce Brosnan, but there's just a lot more chemistry
yeah.
between her and Daniel Craig.
I think actually Judy's performance in GoldenEye was very good, especially the scene when her and Bond are having a drink in her office, and she says, "I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur." That was
Muffy.
pretty good. Yeah,
Well,
Muffy. Yeah, I mean, for whatever problems GoldenEye has, and in my opinion, it has quite a few, it is still the best Brosnan movie, and it does feature a great performance from Judi Dench. I mean, and they refer to her as the evil queen of numbers. But I think they actually kind of changed her character quite a bit in the Daniel Craig films, and it was nice to see her cameo in Spectre as well. That was very sad, and you actually appreciate her a lot more having seen her die. And even though the Brosnan movies are a different timeline, you still feel like she's been in her department for a long time. Even though the two Bonds, even though the two timelines are not the same. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And when her death happened in Skyfall, it really actually it hit home a lot more than it would have done if she would have just been in 3 movies. So I tip my hat to her. But I mean, anyway, back to Bond 25. Sorry, I digressed.
No, it's fine. Yeah. So I mean, as for the rest of Bond 25, like the cast coming back, I think it's great that they've brought back the MI6 regulars, particularly since with them shooting it with Danny Boyle, Ray Fiennes wouldn't have been available, but now because it's been delayed, he might be available. I
Well, he
think
is.
that's
He's
yeah,
confirmed.
yeah, he's confirmed to come back. So I think that's great. I mean, to
Thank
be
God.
honest, I would rather have had it come out in November 2019. But the fact that we now have Ray Fiennes back as I think that's a great move, and I think it's great that they brought back. They're bringing back the MI6 regulars, and like I said, hopefully it's not their last.
Yeah, I mean,
Bond
I'm not
film.
saying that they have to do like they have to contribute so much like they did in Spectre, but if they're at least there and they have obviously their main scenes, maybe a couple of extra bits as well, because it is Craig's last Bond movie, so I think they should be given something nice to do. It's nice that Moneypenny doesn't just sit behind the desk in the Craig era. I mean, when we first see her, she's out in the field, in Skyfall, with Bond, and she actually shoots him. So I think, Naomi Harris, I think, is great, and there's so much potential for their characters to to grow. They don't just have to do the norm as they have done in the past. Not that there was anything wrong with that, but
not only that, but
yeah.
Q got to get in the field as well. I mean, he was in
Inspector, yeah,
Inspector, yeah. You know, like when he was in, you know, when he was in Switzerland and all that. Like,
yeah,
you know, I mean, the fact is, you know, they're not all, you know, behind the desk, and the same with Gareth Mallory in Spectre. You know, he was, you know, I mean, you know, he was like, you know, confronting C and all that. So
let's see.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, talking about like the film. I mean, yeah, of course. It's been delayed to November 2019 because Danny Boyle left, and also because Daniel Craig signed on to another film, which, you know, I mean, talking about it, I think the release date February 2020. Like, you know, I think like even though we have to wait another 4 months, um, longer than we should have, like technically it'll be 5 years, you know, or
Yeah,
four,
4.5.
yeah, 4.5 years since Spectre comes out. I do think it's better than having to wait till November 2020 because, you know,
Yeah,
if they delayed it like another year, then I just think that would have been taking the piss. Like, you know,
yeah.
um,
I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, it would have been great to have no delays. But if it means that we're going to get a better film, then okay, I'm all for it. I mean, February is around the time of my birthday, so it's an excuse to celebrate my birthday around then. But I think if it benefits the film, that's fine. But I think, yeah, any longer, and it would have been really. I mean, it's already been quite excruciating to wait for this new film. But yeah, because it has been a while since Spectre. But I think over the next year we will find out more about what we're going to get. So I think the wait from now will be less excruciating once we know the title of the movie and a kind of general idea of who's going to be in it and what kind, not necessarily what we're going to get in the plot, but kind of an idea of the style of the plot, maybe. Because Spectre, we kind of had a feeling it would be, oh, Bond goes after Spectre, you know, he uncovers Spectre, and they did it in a way which was clever because they tied all the previous films together and they made it a long narrative of Bond following a trail of breadcrumbs, which actually we predicted. So we actually got it right. So hey, kudos to us. But yeah, and Cary Fukunaga has said that he will continue the story from Casino Royale. He will conclude it. So thank God for that.
yeah. Um, and also I think, you know, for Bond 25, um, I, it'll also be quite an emotional Bond film because it is Daniel Craig's last Bond film. I mean, and also by the time it comes out, he will be the longest serving Bond in terms of years. He'll be there for, well, I mean, 14 years, so technically he'll
Yeah,
beat Roger Moore's record. But I think Roger Moore still holds the record because he's done the most Bond films, and Craig's had more gaps. Um, but yeah, technically Daniel Craig will be the longest serving Bond in terms of years when Bond 25 comes out. And also, I think it'll be interesting to see Daniel Craig's last performance as James Bond. I mean, I hope that he gives more of a performance that he gave in Spectre. I mean, I know with them bringing back, let's say there's Madeline Swan, they might do a thing where you know, Madeline Swan gets killed by Blofeld and Bond goes on a revenge quest, kind of like, you
yeah,
know, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, like, or License to Kill or Quantum of Solace. I mean, just hopefully they do it right this time because I mean, I think license like if they did something like License to Kill where they made it too dark, too gritty,
yeah. That was
then
messed up.
yeah, I think I think if they make it like too dark or too gritty, like License to Kill, they're gonna alienate their audience.
Yeah, as long as it's not like too depressing, then it'll be
Yeah,
fine. I think what would be lovely is if they kept a similar tone to Spectre, but maybe obviously a slightly darker because it is his last film, and we did begin the series with Craig in a very dark way with Casino Royale. I mean, I'm not saying that we're going to get another ball crushing scene, lol, but you know, I think it will definitely be more focused on emotion than anything else. Yeah, I mean, if they do the On Her Majesty's Secret Service thing, okay, fine, but they've got to do it in a way that's unique. Because Madeline was a good character in Spectre, so you know, I mean, the early rumors were Bond was going to be married to her, and then he has to go on revenge. But I don't know. I mean,
I don't really want Bond marrying her because it would just be too much like it would just be too much like Tracy.
yeah,
The one thing I'm worried about is that it'll copy On Her Majesty's Secret Service too much. I mean, we never really got a payoff for that. I mean, apart
yeah,
from the opening scene of Diamonds Are Forever, but I think
yeah,
Bond marrying Madeline Swan. I mean, I do think Inspector. There's definitely an attraction between them, but I don't think that they're in love in the same way as
yeah,
Vesper Lynn
yeah.
or you know.
I mean, it did sort of come very quickly, so maybe they'll devote more time to it.
Well, Bond come very quickly.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. But I mean, one advantage it might have if they do it is that it will kind of bring Craig's era full circle. Because if you think about it, his era started with the death of a loved one, and in the middle he had a death of another loved one, and now at the end he could have another death of another loved one. So in a way, it kind of just illustrates the point that his character, he can never have a relationship. He can never, whether it be romantic or maternal, they'll all just die. And I think that will be the emotional core of it. But I mean, because with Lazenby it was just the one movie. I mean, they were just following the book. With this, if they do it cleverly, they could actually do it in a way that's not unoriginal. Even though it is sort of unoriginal to just slightly rehash On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I'm prepared to go with it if they do it in a way that's tasteful and actually unique. But we'll have to wait and see what what lies ahead.
Yeah. I mean, and as for names of the film, I mean, of course, all we know really is the fact that we got our new director, and the cast is coming back. But I mean, as for names of the film, like I would be for Devil May Care. Like, I think that would be a good name to end off Craig's era because I mean, like if you're gonna do like an On Her Majesty's Secret Service, kind of revenge like movie like that would be kind of the perfect name for it, like Devil May Care or something like that, or of course you got like Risiko or Property of a Lady, or they could come up with something completely different like
Yeah.
Spectre.
I mean, Property of a Lady might be an interesting title, especially if it's going to be Madeline's death. But I mean, also rumor has it that they're looking for 2 more Bond girls, so it's not just going to be Madeline. So,
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking then that they might kill her off early. So, because I mean,
yeah,
usually when it comes to a Bond film, you have 2 Bond girls. You have the bad Bond girl, and then you have like the good one that James sort of takes away at the end. So, um,
yeah,
I think what they might do is they might kill her off early on and have these 2 other Bond girls in the film. But
yeah,
um, I mean, I what I would like though is I would like a kind of Bond film a lot like Spectre. I mean, I know a lot of people complained about Spectre. Like some people said, oh, it was more fun than it was good, which I think is absolute bullshit. Like people said, like, oh,
yeah.
it was too
I mean,
comedic.
what's wrong with a fun Bond movie? I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't exactly a light-hearted film. I thought it was pretty dark in places with the drill scene, Mr. White's scene, and also Batista gouging somebody's eyes out. You think that's a fun aspect of the film? Wow.
yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of flabbergasted by the kind of reviews that Spectre got, because I remember like when the reviews started coming out in the UK, it got very good, like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then the reviews started coming out like in America, and then more people started reviewing it, like and it got just kind of mediocre reviews, like meh, it's okay, like
Yeah,
it's not as good as Skyfall, and to be honest, I think people set the bar way too high for Spectre. I mean, Skyfall was, a lot of people say one of the greatest Bond films ever. And to follow that up with Spectre, I think they did an amazing job, and I think
Yeah.
Sam Mendes did an amazing job, and I think he deserved more credit. And I think the critics should have been a lot like
Yeah.
a lot more appreciative of that film than what they gave it. I mean, I think it went from like 80% down to like 64%.
Shame.
So yeah,
Although, actually, I mean, most people did say that it kicked the arse out of Quantum of Solace. So I guess that's something to be said. But even so, I agree with you. It was unfairly judged to Skyfall, which was the Oscar-winning 50th anniversary. It was so good. So I mean, I personally thought Spectre was almost as good. It was so good.
I mean, personally,
Yeah.
Spectre, and I'm still gonna say that Spectre is my favorite Bond movie because it combined everything that was great about the classic Bond films, like with, when you had the classic gun barrel at the start, you had all the callbacks, you had Blofeld returning, you had Spectre returning, you had the
You had
MI6
all of the
regulars.
Craig movies connected.
Yeah, it had all the Craig movies connected, and it just really brought that feel of a classic Bond film, but also a modern Bond film.
Yeah,
And
and the humor was great as well. Now we know what
yeah,
C stands for.
and like flush that down the toilet, cut out the middleman, and I thought that Daniel Craig gave a great performance. I thought he was
Nope, stay.
yeah, I mean Daniel Craig. I thought probably gave his best performance as Bond because I mean he managed to combine those elements of the humor but also the serious moments as well, and he really kind of gave a sort of Roger Moore-esque performance. I think it was probably his best performance because he just really showed that he could do the comedy as well as the serious stuff, and
Yeah,
you know
I mean, obviously compared to Casino Royale, it was a much lighter, lighter film, but still it had its darkness. I mean, I think you can see how Craig had evolved as Bond. Because in his first movie, Casino Royale, he's not quite the same. He's a little bit younger, slightly more naive, a bit more arrogant. Very much a cocky, prick almost. And by Spectre, he sort of mellowed out a bit. They loosened him up a bit. I mean, why not? Why not give him some more laughs? We had 3 movies before of him, dark and broody and slightly more emotional. So I think it was nice to have him sort of lighter and looser. I mean, obviously he did have his emotional moments, especially when he was reunited with Blofeld. That was kind of that was kind of difficult, but
yeah
yeah,
yeah, I mean that's the thing about Spectre. Like some people saying it's more fun than it was good, but it's like it still had a lot of very dark moments, and Craig's Bond still had a lot of very dark moments. Like when he was getting the drill put into him, and when he's like turn it off, um, like there was still a lot of dark moments in there, and
I mean, it was actually all the stuff in
yeah.
Blofeld's lair was pretty scary. It was pretty it was very well directed. It was very mysterious.
Yeah, and even the
Yeah,
stuff with Mr. White, like I loved all the stuff with Mr. White, like the way they tied up the loose ends of Quantum, and it
yeah,
turned out, Quantum was like a code name for Spectre. I mean, like you said, we predicted it. Like I remember, like
yeah,
when we were watching trailers, like we predicted that, maybe like nobody, because like nobody had heard of Quantum, and we predicted that Quantum might be actually a code name for Spectre, and that Blofeld was leading a trail of breadcrumbs for Bond all along. And he was like, like he says, yes, it was me, James, the author of all your pain.
yeah.
You know,
It makes me
it,
wonder how he kind of how he got in touch with Bond, like how he must have noticed him. I guess because of global surveillance. He probably there were drones and cameras watching Bond everywhere he went. So uh, Blofeld had obviously thought about his revenge quite well. Yeah, and it was a nice tie-in that all the previous Craig villains were part of Spectre. I think that works really well. It's subtle, but it's just nice because it makes you feel like there's a narrative between all the films, and they've never done that before with another actor. They've always been the films have always been individual, so I think it was a nice change to do that, and I think it's great that Cary Fukunaga is not going to break that narrative. He's going to finish it, and I think, I mean, obviously no pressure, but I think I really hope that Christoph Waltz will come back as Blofeld, because there is more to give with this storyline. They haven't finished it yet. If Waltz does not return as Blofeld, I will be very disappointed. But I mean, there's every possibility that he will or he won't. I don't think we're going to know for sure about Blofeld until maybe nearer the live announcement. But
yeah,
that's just my thoughts. But I hope he comes back, because
yeah. I mean, I would
that
rather.
brothers thing was interesting. I mean, people gave it shit, but I still think there's more to be given from it. But
I mean, I thought the Foster brothers thing, I thought it worked fine. I mean, it's not like they were actual brothers. It's not like, Bond and Blofeld were actual, like blood brothers,
yeah, that would have been a bit too far.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the whole story was done really well. Like, the fact that, Bond's parents died in like a skiing accident, and then, Blofeld's father, brought Bond in and looked after him, and he grew jealous, and that's why he killed his father. I mean, it made sense to me, and I thought it kind of added it added a nice element between
Yeah,
the characters. I thought it was handled well. I mean, like, you
yeah,
got to remember as well, like, this is a different interpretation of Blofeld. This is the Blofeld for the 21st century, and
yeah.
I thought the story worked. I thought it worked really well, actually. And I mean, speaking of Blofeld, I mean, I would like to see Christoph Waltz back as Blofeld, although he said that he hasn't, or like he won't be returning because they've taken too long with the film. But hopefully,
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was to do with the fact that apparently they were going to go in a direction that he didn't like. But now that there's a new director and the new script, they might be able to convince him. But I don't know if I think some of those articles weren't really 100%. I mean, I think Cary Fukunaga is going to try and get him back, because by the sounds of it, he's very open to the idea of having him back. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, you might be right, Jack. He may have said no already, or maybe not. But we just don't know. It's.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember Christoph Waltz saying that if Daniel Craig came back, he would do another film with
Yeah.
Dan. Like, he said, he would do another film with Daniel Craig and another film with the new guy. So hopefully, um, he could come back for at least two more Bond films. I would like to see him, like, if he's not going to come back for a third Bond film, at least come back for this Bond film and wrap up the story of Blofeld.
Well, I'd heard that he was just going to come back if Craig was doing it, because of the timeline. It wouldn't make sense. Which so if he's going to do any more, it will just be one more. I think personally, but I mean, yeah, I think they can have Blofeld with the new guy, but I think they'll probably cast somebody else. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how this new film goes. Maybe they'll leave Blofeld for a bit with the new guy. They'll focus less on Spectre and they'll just try and introduce the new guy. But I think it's important to have Spectre and Blofeld in the next film, even in some way, even if he's not going to be the main villain. At least have him in there to resolve the story. But I think he should be the main villain. We can still have other villains, but I think we need Blofeld as the main villain, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind them having Christoph Waltz as Blofeld in the last Bond film with Daniel Craig, and then them having a new Blofeld for the new guy, because that would make more sense. And
Yeah.
but I think it would be great if they managed to get Christoph Waltz back, because I thought Christoph Waltz was fantastic as Blofeld. I think he's my favorite Blofeld. He did a great job, and he really needs, like, they really need to bring him back. He needs to come back, and we need to wrap up the story, because Spectre, it left it on a cliffhanger. Bond is about to kill him. He's like, do it, and then Bond, he decides not to kill him.
Yeah.
So,
and then the irony, imagine if that, in a way, that would be ironic, because Blofeld will spit in Bond's face if he kills Madeline, so that's going to really send Bond over the edge. But
yeah, I mean, let's hope they don't do something like where they bring back Blofeld for a few minutes and then throw him down a chimney stack.
Oh God, no! I don't think they do that. I think they treat him with more respect than that.
Yeah, because that's the last time we saw him was in For Your Eyes Only. I mean, even though he wasn't credited as Blofeld, it pretty much was Blofeld, and they dropped him down a chimney stack, and that's the last time we would see him until Spectre.
Yeah,
So yeah, um, yeah, and also I would like to see, um, I mean, talking about the next Bond film, I would like to see Adele return to do the Bond song because I mean
yeah.
Sam Smith, Writings on the Wall. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a huge fan of it. I mean, it's not.
Risk it all, 'cause the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst Bond song, but it's
Oh
definitely
God,
not
no.
best either. It's definitely, I'd say, down there. Like it might be my top 10 worst or top, something like that. But I mean, I mean, it's not awful. Like it's not completely utterly awful, but just Sam Smith, the way he sang it and all, like it's just kind of
The irony is, he actually won an Oscar.
yeah. I don't think it deserved an Oscar. Skyfall deserved an Oscar. I don't think
Yeah.
Writings on the Wall did.
No, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, as much as I do like the song, but I don't think it deserved an Oscar. But it would be great if they could do a fantastic song for Craig's last film, and Adele should do it. Maybe that one will win an Oscar. I think it would be great. Making a hat trick, that would be really cool. But I guess Adele
Or if
would be
they
up there.
or if they can't get Adele back, get Shirley Bassey back before
Yeah,
she dies. Like,
yeah,
because I mean, she did a Quantum of Solace theme that was rejected. But I
yeah,
mean, to be honest, I liked Another Way to Die, but
yeah.
I thought her song was good as well.
Yeah, I would have preferred the rejected theme, but Another Way to Die wasn't great. But it was. I see what they were trying to do, but I think they're definitely going to go for a song more like Skyfall, a pure sort of Bondian song. Because Another Way to Die, it's not really a Bond song. It on its own, it's not a bad song, but it doesn't feel like James Bond.
Well,
The name was different because the lyrics made sense, and the lyrics made more sense with the story, and it was harder edged. That was different because it was Bond becoming Bond. But yeah, another way.
but talking about Quantum of Solace, talking
Yeah,
about the Shirley Bassey theme, I don't know if it would have really worked because it's like, oh, where is a quantum of solace that I crave?
yeah.
It
Where is
kind of,
the solace that I crave? Da,
yeah.
da, da, da.
I mean, I think it's a bit too slow for the title sequence, and also Quantum of Solace. It's a harder edged Bond movie. It's like a revenge movie. Like it doesn't really, like that's kind of more like a sort of softer ballad. Like I think Another Way to Die, for me
Yeah,
anyway, worked better because it's more of a harder edged song. Like
I mean,
I'm like yeah.
yeah. I wonder if they're going to go for a more emotional song then for Bond 25 because it is Craig's last one. Maybe they'll get Adele to do a real belter, because it's his last one, so they want to make it
Mm.
great. I don't know. I mean, there are many ways it could go. If they can't get Adele, another person who would be really good at doing a Bond theme for me is Michael Bublé. I've always said this in the past to other people. I would love Michael Bublé to do a Bond theme because his music is very James Bond. Like it's jazzy, it's brassy, it just has that kind of retro old school feel to it. And his voice is perfect. I think he would do an amazing Bond theme. Even if it's not going to be now, at some point I think he should do it. If I were directing the movie, I would say get Michael Bublé's contact on the phone. Let's see if he can do the Bond theme because I think he would have been a better choice than Sam Smith, personally, for Spectre. But I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Or they could bring back Carly Simon, like because
She's
I
still
mean,
around?
I love the Spy Love Me. So
Yeah.
what?
Is she still around?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think she's dead.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Nobody Does It Better was a good song as well. I mean, even if the song isn't going to be the best Bond song, it has to be bloody good. That.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want a better Bond song than "Writings on the Wall." I mean, no offense to Sam Smith, but he sounds like it just sounds like his balls haven't dropped. Like I have to risk it all. Like the
Yeah. When it
right
goes
all.
falsetto, that's when it loses its.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a
Yeah,
bad song. It's certainly good for what it is. But yeah, for me, it's neither the best nor the worst. It just is. It's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just kind of, yeah, like you said, it's kind of there. So yeah, they need to get a good, Bond song, and I think they should just bring back Adele one last time. Um, I mean, it would be great if they brought back Chris Cornell, but unfortunately he passed away.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Very tragically, he committed suicide.
Yeah.
He hung
Uh,
himself.
yeah. But anyway, I mean, talking about the rest of it, like I think,
I mean, in terms of the title sequence, I know we can't really talk much about this yet, but I'm assuming Daniel Kleinman's going to do the title sequence. So, depending on the theme of the movie, I mean, maybe something with a bit more color than Spectre. But then again, the Craig movies are quite dark, so the Spectre title sequence was very dark. I was amazed how dark it was, but it worked really well. Um, I can't honestly say what the theme will be. I mean, I can imagine Bond's age will be a big part of the film, so they might reference Bond's, age in the title sequence, maybe. But I mean, what do you think? What are your predictions about the title sequence?
um, I don't have a clue at this point, but um, I think they'll probably do something similar to Skyfall and Spectre, because I mean those title sequences were kind of similar. Um, but although I thought those title sequences were great. I mean, what it will be interesting is, like they referenced Bond's age in Skyfall. Do you think, like, it would be interesting if they reference his age in this again? Because I mean, Daniel Craig, at the moment is 50 years old, and when the movie comes out, he'll be 52 when that movie comes out. Well, 51 or 52 when it comes out. So Bond will be about the same age in the movie. So it'd be quite interesting to see how Bond is like physically. Like, it would be interesting if they had like Bond physically kind of, you know, getting more tired, and like, he's kind of fed up with, like, I mean, they could do something like, if they're gonna kill off Marlon Swan, they could do something like Bond is a kind of physically tired and is kind of fed up of life, and
And he's fed up of losing people. I think that's where the Logan similarities will come in, because in Logan is old, he's weary, he's fed up, he's depressed. I guess they'll do something like that maybe with Bond 25, but as long as it's not like miserable, we want to still have some classic elements. But I still think Craig's going to kick ass in the action sequences. But
yeah,
it's it really depends on how far they go. I think the theme of age will definitely be there. There'll definitely be a sense of him getting old and weaker, maybe. But I mean, although in Skyfall he was able to rebuild himself, maybe this time he won't be. So it depends what they want to do. I think we can't really surmise anything until we kind of have an idea about the film. We need to know more about the film for us to really gauge. I think to see a trailer, when we see the first trailer, we'll probably know. But for now, it's kind of an open book, which is why this discussion is really interesting. Yeah, and also the soundtrack. I doubt very much Thomas Newman's going to be back to do the soundtrack. I think somebody new will come along, or they'll get David Arnold to do it. What do you think?
um, um, yeah, I think they might get someone new to do it. Personally, you know, I think they should probably just get David Arnold back, because I think, his scores are great. It would also be great if John Barry was still alive. I mean, that's the thing. Like, John Barry's last score was License to Kill, but John Barry didn't die until,
No, no, wrong. The Living Daylights.
oh yeah, The Living Daylights. Yeah, I mean, was it? Yeah, yeah. Sorry, you're right. No, I mean, what I find interesting is, John Barry. Like, his last score was A Living Daylights, but John Barry didn't die until 2011. I don't know why they didn't invite him back. I mean, especially for GoldenEye, instead they had to fucking bring back Eric Serra. They had to bring in Eric Serra, like,
Yeah.
with the fucking Game Boy soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, currently there's no composer credited in the IMDb section, so they're still looking for somebody. So yeah, that will be done at a later date. I mean, the music comes in at the end; it's in post production, so they want to get the script finished first, yeah, before they worry about the soundtrack. But you know, it's just worth thinking about because there's so many iconic Bond scores, as you say. And if John Barry were around today, then he would have been a great choice. But yeah, I think David Arnold is a good choice. I mean, Thomas Newman, I like his scores very much. I like Skyfall's soundtrack a lot. Spectre's one was good, but not as good. It did rehash some of the Skyfall music, but it worked. You know, it worked. But I think for Craig's last movie, you need a really good score. You need a fantastic score.
You know what?
Yeah.
I also wish they'd bring back that little bit in the James Bond score that was in the John Barry scores, like, you know, that you know, I would love to hear that in another Bond movie because that's kind of like Bond's theme, like in some of the movies, like, you know.
Yeah, I do miss that. I think it would be great to at least have a variation of that in the future, even if it's not going to be in Bond 25, maybe in a future Bond movie. It would be nice, but yeah, depends on the composer as well. And if the composer is a Bond fan and knows the Bond music, then maybe they'll do that. But I mean, obviously, throughout the newer films with Craig, we've had variations of the Bond theme, and obviously the main like the like. But you know, it's funny how all four of his movies have really different soundtracks. They're all very, very different.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can say that about any Bond movie. But yeah.
Also, do you think there'll be a new gun barrel, or do you think they'll use the same one from Spectre?
I would like there to be a new one. I think there will be because every movie Craig has had a different gun barrel. Well, first four movies, I mean, the Casino Royale one, that was really cool the way they did that. That really worked well. The Quantum one was rubbish, and everybody hated that, so they redid it anyway. And they stuck it at the end of the movie, which was the wrong place to stick it. Skyfall, I understand why they put it at the end. It works. That was a good gun barrel. And it faded into the 50 years logo, so I guess they had to do another one. The Spectre one was great because it was at the beginning. So if they're going to do it, which they have to, please do it at the beginning of the film. I think they should do a new one because, you know, you might as well. You've done individual ones for each film that Craig has had. Why stop now? You know, it's his last one. You know, and I would like him to have a, you know, great gun barrel music as well. If they put it at the end of the movie, I'll be annoyed because I was really glad when Spectre had the gun barrel at the start. What's your opinion on that?
No, I mean, I think they should do another gun barrel. Although I love the one for Spectre. The only thing I will say is though, what I didn't like about it was like when he was walking, you could see Craig walking with the gun. Like, you know, usually when Bond walks, he hides the gun.
Yeah.
But I thought the gun barrel was great. I think they should do another one, and like I think it should be at the beginning of the film. I think it will be anyway because Spectre put it back at the beginning, which was great. Because I mean, I kind of got worried because, you know, Casino Royale didn't have it really at the beginning. It was just kind of part. It was just a little snippet that was part of that led into the title sequence.
Yeah, I mean, but although in its defense, that was necessary and it worked.
Yeah,
yeah, because it was Bond. Essentially, Bond begins. Bond becoming Bond. It was the moment where he actually earned his license to kill. You know, when he killed that guy, and then it was a perfect transition. I thought.
Yeah.
The Quantum one was shit. Let's just be real about that. Yeah.
I mean, Daniel Craig was walking way too fast. Looked like he shot his pants, or he
Like
needed
it was
to go.
constipated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Skyfall one. I mean, it works because the opening shot of the movie and that music, it works. You know, the da-dun, and they open up on Craig in the distance walking towards the camera. To have a gun barrel before that wouldn't work. I could totally see.
Someone's done an edit of that, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, for editing reasons,
And
I
even
completely
Mayday.
see why. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
sorry. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, so for editing reasons, I completely see why they put it at the end, and also it works because it was the 50th anniversary. It faded into 50 years, which was nice. I like that, but it was nice. I think Spectre did the right thing. Put it back at the beginning. So for Bond 25, keep it at the beginning. You know.
Hmm. And also, I like the fact that Spectre used the kind of old gun barrel for the old look of the gun barrel. I thought
Yeah,
that was because I mean I'm not a huge fan of the CGI gun barrel that Brosnan had and stuff. It just looked a bit too
it was very glossy.
too glossy and shiny and just CGI weird. Like yeah,
What's interesting is Craig. He sort of does a different pose for each of his gun barrels. I mean, the first one he just turns around and shoots. The second one, he kind of walks so fast and then he just shoots that you don't really get. He doesn't really hold his pose for long. The third and fourth gun barrel, he kind of does the same position, but slightly. No, it's not quite the same. So, like like
no,
how Roger Moore changed his position after his second film. I think
yeah,
Craig should do a different position for his last film.
yeah. No, I mean like when he was yeah. I mean it is interesting that they have for each Bond film with Daniel Craig they have done a new gun barrel because with all the other Bonds like Connery and Murr and all that, like they pretty much reused the same gun barrel. Maybe they changed it up once or twice, but Brosnan had the same gun barrel for all his. Connery had two gun barrels. Murr had two. Lazenby had one. Dalton had
Oh, yeah,
one. So Craig is the only one where all four of his movies he's had four different gun barrels. So, uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Do you think
Um,
that's something that should continue with the next guy as well?
um, Personally, I don't really care. I mean, if they do reuse a gun barrel, like it wouldn't bother me. But
Yeah. I guess it depends what it is, really.
yeah. But I mean, I kind of like the fact that they have a different gun barrel each time. Um, Although I'm surprised the filmmakers just didn't reuse the gun barrel from Skyfall, um, Inspector, or I'm surprised that like yeah, but yeah, personally, I don't mind, but I think there
Yeah.
should be a new one. I mean,
I guess also because Craig had lost weight since Skyfall.
yeah, I
He
mean,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, so yeah, I mean, just because he looked like he's slightly more trim in Spectre, not Casino, sorry, in Skyfall, he's got a little bit more weight on him. I mean, he's not overweight, of course not, but you can see it in his face and in his physique. He's a lot thinner in Spectre.
Yeah, yeah, I think he did put on a bit of weight for Skyfall. Like he wasn't fat, but you can tell like he did put on a bit of weight, and like you said, for Spectre, he does look a lot thinner in the face. Um, I mean, I think the reason why is because Craig, you know, he has to he has to get
Craig,
into shape for each Bond film. Yeah.
yeah, and also there had been 4 years between Quantum of Solace and Skyfall, so yeah, they had
What I
to,
what I find interesting as well is like, well, do you think Craig will be doing most of his stunts? Because I mean, he is getting up there in age now. I mean, he's 50. So do you think he'll be doing most of his stunts, or do you think he'll be just doing some of them? Or
yeah. I mean, I don't think he would have agreed to do it if he wasn't able to do half of his own stunts. I don't think he does as many of them as he used to when he first started. I think he said that in Spectre. He's like, I don't do as many, but I try and get my face in there as much as possible. That's what he said in an interview. So, depending on how many stunts there are and how risky they are, I think Craig will attempt as much as he can. It's his last film. He wants to go out with a bang. So, they want to
yeah,
make it impressive. So, I
I
think
mean,
he's still got one more in him. He's got one more in him. After that, he physically won't be able to do it anymore. And I think he knows that. Jack? Okay. Looks like we have a delay. Sorry about this, folks. I guess Jack has been delayed. Fortunate. But yeah, Daniel Craig is known for wanting to do his own stunts, and he's not the only Bond to have done that. In the past, Timothy Dalton, when making The Living Daylights, he wanted to do all of his own stunts as well. You know, I think there's a sense of adrenaline that you get when you play Bond, and I think the actors definitely want to attempt as much as possible. And I mean, also in comparison, Tom Cruise, when he does Mission Impossible, he kind of has a similar thing. He likes to do all of his own stunts because he is a true adrenaline junkie. So yeah, I've just got a message from Jack. I'm here, Jack. Let me add Jack in again, because I think there's a connection problem. Sorry about this. Technical difficulties. Sorry, I mean, I know we've kind of gone on, but... Oh, hello, Jack.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you were still in the call, but you just kind of stopped talking, so I assumed that you were interrupted or whatnot, but maybe there was a connection error.
Oh, no, it was a connection error. Sorry about that.
Yeah. That's all right. Well, I mean, we have gone on for quite a bit, so we'll just try and summarize. I mean, sorry, folks, we do like to go into detail. We're Bond fans. What can we say? Sorry, Jack. I'll let you say what you were going to say before you.
No, you go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. I finished what I was going to say.
What bit did you last hear me talk about?
The stunt.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I think Craig and Timothy Dalton are the most dedicated when it comes to stunts in Bond films. Because I mean, like Timothy Dalton in Living Daylights, I mean, he was actually on top of that truck going down that hill in Gibraltar, and if he'd lost his grip on that, he could have died, and they would have to get a new James Bond. And also Daniel Craig, like I think didn't he he said in the Graham Norton show that he shattered a knee on set or whatever.
Yeah, I think he'd broken his rib or something at one point. I think, and also after Quantum, he actually hurt his arm. He had his arm in a sling for most of his interviews.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a really dedicated Bond, and all I can say really, I mean, I guess like we got to wrap up now. All I could say really about Bond 25 is I hope we hear something soon because I'm fucking sick of waiting.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what they say: good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, but I mean, what about those who wait too long?
Well, I have good feelings about Bond 25, but yeah, it would be nice to know some more news. Hopefully, in 2019, we'll get the live announcement, which will explain the title of the movie, the full cast, and where they're going to shoot, and also the cars they're going to use. Because they did that with Spectre, and it got me really excited. And that will be our next hang-up when we find out the title of Bond 25.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And also, I think next year we could redo the Bond reflections since we had to take down a few of the Bond reflections. We could just restart them from scratch as well.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Fresh opinions and all that as well.
Yeah,
we'll do the Sean Connery one again as well. I mean, we can do it with just me, you, and Alan.
yeah, and I also think like
join us for the Craig one if he wants to.
Yeah, and I also think a lot of our opinions have changed. I mean, my opinions have changed from the Bond series, and plus I've got the Bond Blu-ray box set, so I might re-review them. I don't know about that yet, but I know my opinions have changed.
I mean, so, you have the 23 film box set, don't you?
Yeah, which includes a space reserved for Spectre. Yeah,
which I'm assuming you've used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they'll probably. Actually, that's another point. they'll re-release another box set with before I reckon at Christmas next year, 2019, they'll release the new Bond box set with the Bond 24 film set from Doctor No to Spectre. So, and then they'll leave a space for Bond 25. So, yeah, I think they're going to do that from now on, by the looks of it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll bother though buying the new box set though. Yeah.
Plus, it will be so much money as well. So, I mean, I'm just buying them individually now because I've got the Bond 50 box set, which is good, and then
I have to say, I think that's a much better box set than the one I have. I mean, the one I have is a good box set, but yours has got like a fold out, kind of book sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a nice design. It's a really cool design. I've got Skyfall and Spectre sitting next to it on the shelf, so they're separate. So I do have all the Bond movies. So I'm really glad that I got that box set because that's staying with me. I'm not getting rid of that one. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say, Jack, before we close off?
Not really. Just roll on Bond 25, and hopefully we get some news soon within the new year or sometime during 2019. Like maybe, if not the new year, sometime during the middle of 2019 or earlier than that. At least by the summer. I want to hear something about Bond 25 at least by the summer of 2019.
Oh, I'm sure we will by then.
I mean, it would be great to see maybe even a teaser trailer. Maybe they might even release a teaser trailer like Spectre or have an announcement thing like they did for...
Yeah.
Well,
I predict that, I think you're right. I think we'll get a teaser trailer in like late summer. So maybe like end of August. We'll probably get the Bond 25 teaser trailer. Start of September, maybe. We'll probably know the title maybe in the spring. Because, actually, no, they're going to start filming in March. So we'll have to know before March what the film's called and where they're going to shoot, at least.
And when the film comes out, February 2020. So we could even get a teaser trailer by July.
Maybe. It depends how well the shoot goes. I mean, hopefully the shoot will go fine. I mean,
and hopefully Daniel Craig won't delay the production any longer. Please, Craig, please, don't delay it.
Yeah, no. I think once he's done with this project he's doing now, he'll commit to Bond 25. He'll do it. It's his last one. He'll just go out with a bang. That'll be it. He can walk away. But because it will take a good 8-9 months to shoot, and then they'll be in post production for a couple of months, and hopefully by Christmas or shortly after Christmas, they'll have finished the film. Well, they must have had to finish it by Christmas in order to get the distributors to get their hands on it. But yeah,
I mean, all I will say is when it eventually does come out, it'll be a fucking long wait, but hopefully it'll be worth it. And all I have to say is I just hope the next Bond film doesn't take another 5 years, 2 years at the most, please. After a 5-year break, I want 2 years at the most, maximum 3. But yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. But I mean, let's just say it will be the best Valentine's Day present ever if the movie is phenomenal. Yeah. And plus, for me as well, it'll be great because I'll be turning 23 a week before it comes out. So I'll kind of use it to celebrate my birthday as well, because it's going to be an experience. But I mean, as we know more about the film and as the trailers come out, we'll be doing more hangouts. So the wait from now until Bond 25 shouldn't be too bad. Now that we've got over the worst of it, of knowing nothing.
I mean, we're in the last month of 2018, so once we get to February 2019, we'll only have a year left until the film comes out.
So it's not long. It's actually not long. So yeah, like you said, just over a year. So, there'll be plenty of things to do in the year. Yeah, plenty of other films.
I mean, plus there's Brexit. So.
Oh God, yeah. I wonder if that will be a theme in the movie. If James Bond will try and stop Brexit from happening.
James Bond will try and stop the EU.
God.
Can you imagine Daniel Craig just marches into the EU like it's like, give us a good deal, you bastards.
Yeah. You and I had a mutual deal. And you get Blofeld just signing off. Cuckoo, we're leaving the UK, Mr. Bond. Cuckoo.
Bond gets rid of Theresa May.
That'd be funny. Imagine if Theresa May made a cameo in Bond 25. That'd be funny. Oh,
But Judi Dench stars as Theresa May.
oh God. Oh dear. But yeah. So that's it, folks. Thank you all for watching this hangout. Oh, on listening to the hangout. Sorry for the technical errors earlier.
Cuckoo.
Stay tuned for future news, hangouts, and updates on Bond 25. Until then, Bond fans, see you later.